What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel to another WNBA video. We got a 4-game slate to dive into for Friday, May 23rd. So we'll break down and analyze each of those games. We'll talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread. And we'll also go over player props that I found for those games that I like. And then any plays that I put in officially myself, make sure you check down there into the pinned comment. You're going to find a link down there that's going to send you over to the Guy Boston Sports website. That's where all of my final plays will live for free. So before we jump into the action, let's take a look back to Wednesday. We weren't able to recap those picks. And now Thursday's picks are live at the time of recording this video. So we'll recap Thursday's picks tomorrow in tomorrow's video. So let's take a look back at Wednesday, what we took and how that went down. We had a nice little day Wednesday. We go 3-0 for a nice little mini sweep. Just a half unit on the one play and then a quarter unit on the other two plays. So still playing things conservative, but we will take that 3-0 cash. Had the wings and the links and a total under 168.5. Now, all of these bets were sweaty, man. They all were sweaty, but we definitely hit on all of them, thankfully. I think the total landed at 166, so we get right underneath of that and we cash that under. Then we took the Valkyries plus 5.5 points. They sweat out a victory, actually. They do win that one, so that one was a little less sweaty. They held a big lead there late in the fourth. I think they were up by 7. They kind of let the Mystics get back into it a little bit, but they do end up pulling out a 2-point victory to get their first dub. And then the Mercury, we took them on the money line, and they do end up winning that one by 3. So, like I said, a 3-0 night, and we needed it, man. Been a little up and down to start the season so far. We're sitting at 12-12 overall coming into Wednesday's video. So 15-12 after that, and we are still positive unit-wise. So let's go ahead and jump into Friday's action, guys. Hit that like button down there for me if you can, and hit subscribe if you have not already. Now let's get into the mix, man. We got the Lynx and the Sun in our first game, tipping off at 7:30 p.m. Lynx are 15-point favorites in this one. Total sitting at 160.5. Now, this is the first of 2 straight on the road for the Sun, although they do bring a 1-day rest advantage into this one over the Lynx, who are at home for the second game of a 3-game homestand. I mean, these two, man, they're on 2 complete opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Minnesota will look to contend for a title again this season. They've started the year off 3-0, while the Sun lost their entire starting 5 from last year. They've started out 0-2, and they've lost both of those games at home. Now, obviously, we have limited data to run with looking at last year, without looking at last year, as the season has just started. But also, obviously, with Connecticut's entirely new lineup, looking at last year's data for the Sun just really isn't going to do us much good here. So, all the teams have played about 2 to 3 games each so far, and looking at things statistically so far through these opening games, the Lynx are one of just 4 teams averaging 90 or more points per game. They're sitting at 3rd in the league at 91 points per, while the Sun are averaging a 4th worst in the W, 73.5 points per game. And it gets better for Minnesota, and it gets worse for Connecticut the more we look into it too, man. And let me note first that we are looking at these league rankings while doing research for this before Thursday night's games are finished, right? So some of these rankings could shift slightly before our games. Like you might see a team, or I might say a team's ranking 4th, and then those games finish, and now they're ranking 3rd or 5th, right? They might shift slightly before our games jump off Friday night, but not in any kind of drastic way to where I feel like this info would become irrelevant in any kind of way, right? So I feel like it's still valuable info to go over. So we still will bring it up here. So let's get back into it. The Lynx are shooting just over 37% from deep. That's 4th in the W right now, and a league best 49.5% from the field. The Sun are sitting at 9th for field goal percentage. They're shooting just 39% overall, and a second from last, 19% from 3. Minnesota could clean things up some still, right? They are a middle of the pack in terms of turnovers at 13 per game. But they are also leading the league in assist with 27 per contest. So we definitely like to see that there. You'd like to see them turnovers cleaned up, but you leading the league in assists. The ball movement has been phenomenal for Minnesota. Connecticut, on the other hand, is giving the ball away about just as much as they're dishing out assists, averaging 15 turnovers to go along with 16 assists per game. So not a good look there for the Sun. This is all leading to the Lynx carrying a net rating of 11.9, while the Sun are currently sitting at negative 19.8. Now, I do like the post game that Connecticut brings to the table with veteran and all-time great Tina Charles and then Olivia Nelson-Adada. But Minnesota is only giving up 32 points per game in the paint so far. That is 4th best in the league at this time. This Minnesota offense, though, to start the season, however, has just been absolutely insane, man. 3rd best shooting percentage from the paint, 1st from the mid range, they're 4th from deep. But the best thing and probably most important is that ball movement that I spoke of, right? They're first in the W for percentage of field goals made off of an assist. Man, in fact, they have converted 100% of their three-point field goals so far off of an assist. So beautiful team basketball has been on display watching the Lynx on offense so far this season. They did fail to cover their double-digit spread against the upstart Dallas Wings their last time out after covering 2 games in a row to open up the year on the road. But man, I couldn't look any other way but Minnesota here laying the points. So I'll lean that way, man, but I'm not sure I can get there laying 15 points really with anyone, right? That's just so many points. Connecticut's a mess, sure, but we know Minnesota, they're light years better than Dallas, and we just saw Dallas get the backdoor cover on them as well. So this one probably just stays a lean, but yeah, there's no way we're looking at Connecticut in this one at all. Even catching 15 points, I would not feel comfortable with that. So looking at the total, we're seeing the lines get lower with Minnesota as I expected, but I kind of have a feeling this one has more to do with the lack of offensive production from Connecticut rather than an uptick in Minnesota's defense because they can definitely still improve in that aspect. That's an elite defense, but they're not playing to that level quite yet. They're gonna get there. It's just a matter of time, but they're not there quite yet. I think in this one, though, I'd have to look at it over for the full game. The Lynx have just been on a tear offensively, and I don't see Connecticut getting in their way whatsoever here, right? Still, though, I'm not sure that the Sun's going to do enough on their end to get up and over this number. So it may be one to just look at Minnesota and the team total over instead, or maybe even a Sun team total under. I'm not seeing lines for those available yet either, so we'll have to check in when those become available and make sure that there's some value there looking at it from a team total side as well. We can hop over to Outlier and take a look at some player props. It's another thing, man. I'm getting frustrated with this. I really am. This is the only game out right now with player props, man. It's frustrating, man. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump over to Outlier, take a look at the player props that I found for this one that we're liking so far. And I'd be looking at Courtney Williams, her rebounds and assists over 11.5. She's been crushing this line. Going back into last year, she was hitting this at a pretty good a pretty good rate to end the season. And she's hit it so far in her 3 outings this year as well, coming in at 13, 15, and 12, as you can see here. So I like that for Courtney Williams. It's juiced a little bit at -144, but I definitely like her chances, especially going up against this putrid Connecticut defense, right? I just don't see them stopping this Minnesota offense at all. And that kind of leads me into the next one as well. Be looking at Alana Smith and her points, not at 9.5. Let's bump that up to where it's at 11.5. And we can see that at -118 over there at FanDuel. And we can see also, like I said, with Courtney Williams. Same thing here with Alana Smith. She's played 2 games so far. She has crushed this line in both of those games. She's getting the minutes and getting the field goal attempts that we would like to see heading into this game for her in a points total, right? But then also look at the 3-pointers made. I like that as well. Over 1.5 3-pointers made. She's been lights out from beyond the arc to start the season. 4 threes in the her opener against the Sparks, right? And then 3 against the Wings in their last time out. And the same thing there, we could see she shot the ball 7 times from beyond the arc in both of those games. So she's definitely getting the shot attempts up that you'd like to see for her chances to hit 2 3-pointers. She's got a great jump shot. And I don't know that Connecticut has the defense to contend with Minnesota, man. I think that ball's going to be flying all over the place, finding open jump shooters. And Alana Smith is one of those that she finds the ball in her hand. She's a catch and shoot, and she will knock it in, man. So, and she camps out around there at the perimeter a lot on the offensive end because she is such a great shooter. So, I definitely like this one over 1.5 3-pointers made -114. And next up, we have the Golden State Valkyries taking on the Los Angeles Sparks. We have a 10 p.m. tip-off time for this one. Sparks opened up as 10-point favorites. We now see them sitting at 11-point favorites with a total sitting at 160. This is the second meeting between these two early in the season after the Sparks went on the road to beat the Valkyries on opening night in Golden State's debut game. So typically, we'd look at this and say, hey, looks like a revenge spot, right? But I think we all know that that's not really the case here. And for a few reasons, man, let's dive into it. The Valkyries are going to be on the first game of a 3-game road trip that sees them face the Liberty back to back after this. So go play a team that just beat you by 17 a few days ago and then the defending champs back to back on their home court. Yikes, man. Schedule makers did the Valkyries no favors here, right? Not only their first road trip, but this one here being the franchise's first ever game on the road. They're also coming in off of their first win in franchise history, and that was a down to the wire 2-point victory in front of their home crowd. Look, man, this has all the makings of a letdown spot. And then you look at the Sparks, and they are fresh off of a tough 3-point loss to the Mercury in Phoenix. That was a game that LA led by 4 at the half, but fell apart in the third quarter as the Mercury took it to them, man, to the tune of 24-7 in that period, pulling away. And then the Sparks were able to fight their way back into the game after falling behind double digits in the second half. They had the lead cut to just 1 point with 4 seconds to play, but they could not complete the comeback. So, for the Sparks, man, back home, for the first game of a 3-game homestand, this has all the makings of a bounce back spot. And that's what I think we see here. This LA team is tough, man, and much improved with Plum running the show. We got to shout out Azurá Stevens, man, because she's been playing at another level, man. 23 and 17 in that loss to Phoenix. And she's another one that looked really good over the offseason playing an unrivaled. So I'm not surprised to see her bringing that momentum into the season so far. She's averaging career highs on points per game, rebounds per game, 3-point shooting, and then just overall shooting percentage from the field. Man, she's been balling. So definitely a bright spot there for the Sparks, along with Derica Hamby. So the Sparks have some talent over there. They have some pieces to work with, and I definitely like their direction moving forward. Rakia Jackson is listed, she of the Sparks, she is listed as a game time decision after suffering a concussion against Minnesota. And then Tiffany Hayes is also listed as a game time decision for Golden State after she took a shot to the face as well in the Valkyries last outing. Left the court, just she got some blood coming out, right? Had a towel smacked up against the face walking off the court, and like these women play tough, man. They do. It's a physical game. I think that's kind of why I dig this league so much, man. They're not playing above the rim. They're playing on that one level, right? They're beating each other up, man. They are tough and physical. They get at it. So definitely love to see it, man. I'm not sure that I can get here with this one, though, laying double-digit points with these Sparks just yet. Man, I need to see more from them. I need, I got to build some trust up with this team before I'm willing to lay my money on the line with them with a double-digit spread like this. But after back-to-back losses in a bounce-back spot versus a team in a big letdown spot who has to turn around after this and fly across the entire country for what is most likely going to be a, back-to-back belt to the you-know-what whoopings, right? Yeah, man, there's no way that I could get behind Golden State here even with all of those points, so I would lean towards the Sparks, but like I said, I'm not sure that I can get there just quite yet. But for the total, I like an over in this one, man. These two are going to look to push the pace, and I think Golden State is slowly beginning to figure out who's who offensively as far as the roles are concerned and rotation wise, who's getting the touches. And there's some pieces that can score, man. But if Hayes is able to play in this one, I really like an over. But if not, I'll look towards the Sparks team total over because I think no matter what, they come out firing in this one and they can get a lot of points up. And then next up, we're going to be looking at the Phoenix Mercury taking on the Seattle Storm. Storm are 3.5-point favorites in this one, total sitting at 156.5. Now, Storm had won 3 of 4 meetings over Phoenix last year, but then at opening night, man, the new look Mercury hosted the Storm and put a beatdown on them, 81-59. Since then, the Mercury have improved to 2-0 to open the year, while the Storm bounced back from that blowout in Phoenix to beat the upstart Wings by 8 in Dallas. This is going to be Seattle's home opener on the year and the first of back-to-back at home, while the Mercury are playing their first on the road before heading back home for a 3-game homestand. So continue to question these WNBA schedule makers, man, until they can make some kind of sense to me, right? How does a brand new squad like Golden State have to go on a road trip like we just mentioned a moment ago, but the Mercury are opening up the season playing 5 of their first 6 games at home? Like, just make it make sense, man. Now, I was talking about it last year too. You'll hear me gripe about the schedule quite a bit. The time slots that they put games at, it don't make any damn sense a lot of times, but it's a whole nother story for a whole nother video, right? I could probably rant about that for a while. But well, let's get back on topic here, man. The Storm do have a 2-day rest advantage here, however, coming into this one. Phoenix has looked better this year defensively to start the season, man, as compared to last season. Man, Alyssa Thomas can do that for you. You remember those Connecticut Sun-led teams, or teams that she led and the defense that they had. They were tops in the league last year defensively, and she's a big reason of that. They are second in the W currently for defensive rating, and they rank third behind only the Fever and the Liberty in net rating. So definitely an improvement for Phoenix overall, starting off the season, despite the injuries that they're facing so far. So definitely like that. They're also second in both true shooting and effective field goal percentages. Um, Even so, man, this is it's a revenge spot for a Storm team at home, and after getting smoked by this Mercury team, they rebounded nicely against the Wings, man. They shot 60% from deep, knocking in 9 threes. They picked it up on the defensive end as well, looking more like the Storm that we're used to seeing on that end. They held Dallas to just 37% shooting from the field, 21% from deep. They forced 15 turnovers. They scored 19 points off of those turnovers. So the Storm are a much better squad than what we saw in those first two or in these two in their first matchup right this season in the opener. So I like them to get some revenge here, man, at home. The Mercury are still down Kalia Copper and also Natasha Mack. So I'm rolling with the Storm here. Um, I'm not sure how I want to play this one though, man. Looking at the money line, it is sitting at about 164, 165, depending on where you're looking. So definitely juiced. I like that spread more at 2.5 when it opened up. Now it's jumped up to 3.5. I still like it there. I just don't like it as much. So not 100% how I want to play this one quite yet. But we'll look at the total, man. And these two are both playing at the slowest pace so far to open up the year. Both are looking pretty good defensively, like I mentioned. So despite the low number, I'd be looking towards the under. Not like Seattle on the side, like I said. So I don't know. Maybe this is something that we look at the Storm on the money line with an alternate total. Looking at the under still. That way we can buy that line up just a little bit. Get that number a little bit higher and get a little more of a favorable line, right? In that regard, we could possibly look at parlaying Seattle also catching some points as well, and just get all the insurance, right? But yeah, like I said, man, I'm not 100% sure how I want to play that. There's a few different ways that we could look at this one. So make sure you check down into the pin comment later on in this one. I have a feeling I'm going to have a play on this one. Just not sure how yet. And then lastly, looking at the Washington Mystics versus the Las Vegas Aces is another 10 p.m. tip-off. Man, Aces are 12.5-point favorites. The total sitting at 164.5. Vegas going to be making their home debut here after splitting two on the road. They blew the Sun out in Connecticut in their last one, so definitely looking a lot better than that opening night debacle against the Liberty, right? The Mystics are on the third game of a 4-game road trip, man. They've started the season 2-1. They have one less day of rest coming into this matchup and are coming off of a close loss to the Valkyries in a game that they trailed late, right, before making yet another rally at the end, but they couldn't make it 3 in a row to open up the year. They lost by just 2 points. This Mystics team is feisty, man. They will not go away. They will not go away. They don't care what kind of lead you got. They're going to play you down to the buzzer. And so far, man, like I said, 2 out of 3 games, they've been able to complete the comeback. They're shooting 46% overall from the field. They're shooting a league best 39% from deep. But this is an area that Vegas has been pretty stout defensively to open up the year so far. Their opponents are only shooting 18% from deep through their first 2 games. These Mystics, though, I can't speak highly enough, man, of how this team has played to start the year. I love Slim Sykes and what she has done so far, man. She's averaging a team-leading 26 points per game and a team-leading 5 assists per game. Rookie Sonia Citron is a bucket, man. She's shooting 50% overall, 36% from 3, and that's good for just under 15 points per game. Then you got Kiki Arifan, another rookie. She's already a walking double-double with just under 14 points per game to go along with 10 rebounds per game. And both of these rookies are clutch. We've seen both of them come up big down the stretch in each game so far this year. They've played big roles in each of the comebacks, including that last one, even though they didn't pull it out down the stretch. It was them. You know what I mean? So those two are phenomenal, and Washington has some dogs. They got some dogs on their team, man. They're going to look good moving forward. And I'm going to keep saying it, man. Aaliyah Edwards, watch out when she comes back. She is still yet to play, suffering from that lower back contusion, and she looked phenomenal and unrivaled as well. That's a good squad, man. That's a good squad, and I like their outlook moving forward too. But look at Vegas, man. They're also shooting the ball well from deep as they lead the W in 3-point field goals made per contest. But Washington has also looked tough defensively along the perimeter, man. They're giving up just 25% shooting from deep. Vegas is out rebounding the Mystics on the average, right, by about 8 boards a game. But they've also given up the 4th most rebounds to the opposition, so that might not be as big of an advantage as it looks so far on paper. Washington is 4th in the league in points in the paint, and Vegas has been a liability defensively in that aspect, man. If you watched that Liberty game, New York was eating them alive in the paint, man. I like how Washington matches up, man, with this Aces team, and I'd look to catch the point with these Mystics. They've proven to be a tough out. And while I'm not sure that they could pull out a victory on the road here against a solid Vegas team, I'm not sure I'm ready to lay 12.5 with the Aces either. They struggled last year covering these double-digit lines as well, going just 6-10 in those instances. Washington has covered head-to-head over the Aces in 4 of their last 5, with the Mystics being double-digit dogs in each of those 5 games. So give me Washington with the points here as a double-digit dog yet again. And then for the total, both of these teams want to push the pace, and we already talked about how well they are shooting from the outside. I like this game to be played pretty fast, and I think we can see an over in this one. So, although the under has hit, in 4 of the last 5 head-to-head, we've seen them get up and over this specific number in 3 straight games now head-to-head between these two. So, I'll be leaning towards the over in this one. And guys, that is going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed the content today. I hope you found it helpful and useful. If you did, please do not forget to smash the like button down there below and hit subscribe if you have not already. That's going to do it, man. Hope you guys all cash out. I'll see you back tomorrow for the next one.